I want this forever. Just you in the grotto, with nothing but your nights on. We keep all the lights on, same again tomorrow. We don't need no bottle, purple color lip gloss, room at the Saguaro. Ain't nowhere I would rather be, right between your holidays. Coffee on.
Hey, what's up, Niner Empire? Jerry Fresh here with another Fresh Perspective podcast style. Right now, I am happy to say the San Francisco 49ers defeated the Buccaneers 31-17. And while it wasn't the easiest game to watch, it was a game where we came away with a lot of great things that we could take back and we can digest and chew on. I love the play of our defense in this game. Now, there were some times where you got real frustrated, especially when Quan Alexander was booted out of the game. You got to see real quick how important he is to our team. Quan Alexander, his role in our defense is somewhat of a sacrificial role. When you think about your big clogs up front, those cogs, those defensive linemen like DeForest Buckner, Armstead, those guys who move offensive linemen out of the way so that a player like a Quan Alexander can actually become a missile and just throw his body into danger, into the face of danger. You realize that that's the way we play defense. That wide nine, it leaves a big gap. And if you don't have a linebacker that's willing to sacrifice his body, there's going to be some gashes and some holes that running backs are going to be able to get through. And we discovered that real fast. I was getting a little frustrated. I'm looking like, man, what is up with our D-line? DeForest Buckner can't do everything. And then it was actually brought to my attention, wait a minute, remember, Quan Alexander isn't in the game. Anyways, the defense overall, it looked very promising. We've been trying to get turnovers. In this game, we produced turnovers, and that is the most important thing. We want to produce turnovers. We produce interceptions, pick sixes. You've seen it happen. You've seen, even though we didn't get the ball recovered on some of the fumbles, you still seen that it's been an emphasis over the offseason that we're looking to get turnovers, and it's exciting to see a player like D Ford who specialized in it get it. To see to see Fred Warner out there just going after every ball every time is just encouraging. It's so awesome. And then our rookie, our number 2 overall pick, Nick Bosa, the boy looked good. The boy looked like he needs to, when somebody's just raw, but they still just showing that once they master this thing, it's over with. This man is already moving at such a pace. You're like, wow, it was a couple of times where Jameis Winston did a good job of sidestepping or stepping up in the pocket. But for the most part, Nick Bosa kept this man on high alert. And that's what you want to do sometimes. If you can't cause a sack, cause the play to be hurried up, to be rushed, and that causes interceptions, as you could see. So it was very exciting to see a player like a Nick Bosa, who suffered with injuries, get in there to play the game. You can see they eased him in, and then they kind of gave him a lot, and then they pulled him back, and you could see that he wasn't all the way healthy, but he still went in there and he fought and he did what he had to do, and that's so encouraging. So we got a good amount of pressure so that Jameis Winston couldn't just sit back there in the pocket all day. He had to rush throws. He had to move up. He had to do what he had to do in order for this thing to even be at 17. And I just love it. I love that what we were waiting for. Now, let's just be honest. The defense is what we've been talking the most crap about, the most mess on to other people. When we brag, for the most part, we're talking about the defense. Now, we do support Jimmy G in the offense. We do support what Kyle Shanahan's doing. We'll get to that a little bit later. But right now, the defense really not surprised, but what I say is I was talking crap to other people and pumping up our defense because I thought we would just get sacks. This time, we didn't really produce a whole lot of sacks, but we did produce hurry-ups that caused turnovers. And that is something that's really, really amazing when you think about that we had the turnovers coming and they really showed that we improved. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, I noticed that Kyle Shanahan, once Jimmy G threw that pick six, Kyle Shanahan really fell in love with the run game. It was almost a safe, cautious game from that point. He just wanted to make sure that things were okay. But in my opinion, he kind of overdid it with the run game. Things weren't working. Now, the opposite with the Bucs. The first half, they were focusing on the passing game. And then they realized like, whoa, Jameis is making mistakes. So when they came in the second half, they adjusted. They said, let's run this ball. Quan Alexander is out of there. And they pretty much ran it down our throats, and did a good job with Barber to get that ball. Some good runs and some good open field runs as well. As far as we go, Kyle Shanahan, you know what? There just comes a time where your pride and what you feel, you just have to adjust it to the game. You have to. And by no means am I a specialist in Kyle Shanahan knows hands down way more than anybody who's listening to this, or anybody, myself, whatever. But you could see that run. He's like, I'm going to establish this run. Thank God for the defense, because the defense is the reason why we won this game. It was a sloppy win, but we have actually won sloppier games. This game wasn't the most sloppy game I ever saw. It was just, we had opportunity. Another thing, referees, these calls. What's going on, NFL? There's too much. They always stress that they don't want the referees to control the outcome of games, but the way everything is set up, they're controlling it. We had back-to-back touchdowns called back because of plays that were questionable, or because you can question if it was a pass interference. The NFL is getting to a ridiculous point when you just feel like, you know what, that didn't look right. Let me tell you something. You talk about the Ravens defense of old. You talk about the Seahawks defense, our defense. We had Willis and Bowman, the Broncos defense of recent, when they had that great defense over there. Let me tell you something. Those defense wouldn't be that great, and especially the defense way back, still Curtin, I'm talking about way back. Those defenses wouldn't be that great if you could go back and review calls and stuff like that. We have changed the game of football, so it's very hard. That's a whole nother podcast to talk about. It is very hard to play the game of football when now the referees control everything. There's a call, like, you know what I mean? And yes, when you look back, you can see like, whoa, was Sherman holding? Was there a problem there? You see those things. But at the same time, it's like, man, give us the opportunity to play the game like it's supposed to be played. And then on the play that Quan Alexander was actually kicked out of the game, that was a hard one. They need to have a tier system. You know what I mean? Like, was there malintent? Like, let's replay it. Let's slow it down. This player went. Okay, Winston is going down. He's doing this fake type of half slide that's not really giving himself up. He's kind of just diving forward. It's real ugly. Okay, the defensive player is in motion at the same exact time that this quarterback is making this move. Okay, you know what? Yeah, he did. His helmet went down, but at the same time, it was not malintended. He didn't do anything that was malicious. Let's go ahead and give him the 15-yard penalty. I wouldn't even care if you said, let's take him out for the rest of the quarter or the half. But to totally eject somebody, I think the social media, the media as a whole, and what the NFL is trying to do with concussion protocol and trying to make NFL safe, which is, in all honesty, a lucrative thing when you can kind of keep the parents and people out there at bay about their kids not playing football, when you can tell them it is safe. I think we're getting a little too overcautious. But I do appreciate the mentality that our defense is playing with. I feel like we have a lot of potential. Also, please remember this. Like when you see teams play in the Super Bowl, when there is a long period of time that teams have to prepare for their opponent, games are going to be a lot more closely matched because you get to focus. Of course, as the weeks go on, you don't have as much time to prepare for your next opponent. I love the fact that we were able to go into this game with a Bucs team that prepared heavily for what we do, and we were still able to go out and pull out the W. Very proud of Witherspoon for stepping up. We've been on Witherspoon for the longest time. I am so glad that we are actually able to see Witherspoon produce some great things. Overall, San Francisco 49er fans, our defense looks very much so promising, like it's going to continue. The overall not allowing touchdowns to happen, not allowing things just to come into play, it was a good thing to see. Our offense, it's tied to Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy G. If Jimmy G is all over the place, if Jimmy G is afraid, if Jimmy G is scared that, he's going to throw an interception or whatnot. He's going to play giddy. There were some throws where Jimmy G was in there and it should have been a touchdown, or it should have been a play where for a long gain, and Jimmy G simply overthrew the player. So these are plays where you can say Jimmy G is still trying to get his swag back. He's still trying to get into everything, and it's going to take a little bit of time. Hopefully this first game, he got most of the jitters out, so when he goes to the next game, he'll be okay. Kyle Shanahan, I don't believe, here's what I'm seeing, and I'm being honest with you. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is being conservative because he doesn't yet trust Jimmy G. If you go and rewind the tape, when Jimmy G messed up a play or he overthrew somebody, Kyle Shanahan wasn't joking. Jimmy G went to the sideline and Kyle Shanahan was in his face like, hey, you need to fix that. Kyle Shanahan is not trusting Jimmy right now because there is some hesitation on Jimmy G's part and trusting his own abilities. He's coming back. He's off a little bit. That's going to get better. The great thing about having a good defense when you're off a little bit, it allows you to get through some things, work out some kinks. So overall, like I said, I'm excited. 31-17. We had people talking all types of crap from the Bucs side. The 49ers come in and pull off this game. We have a lot to chew on, a lot to process. I'm sure analysts will process this game. We'll hear a lot more. But I am thankful, Richie James, for stepping up. I love the way he played. George Kittle, hands down, best tight end in the game. I'm sorry, but there's nobody who takes a hit or catches the ball in a short yardage situation and keeps going. George Kittle, prayers that you never get hurt. Just stay healthy. He is our number one receiver. He's our offense. Love the way that Kittle and Coleman played. They weren't getting a lot of push up front. Our weakness on our team is obvious. It's the interior of our offensive line. There wasn't a lot of push, but I love how our running back still ran hard. I hope that everything's okay with Coleman. You could just see those processes going through. You can see these players playing and moving. Also, rookie Deebo Samuel looked good out there. Rookie, you got to pull that ball into your body. You got to make sure you're not letting that be exposed. We need you on the field. You can already see that this man is a phenomenal player, that this man knows how to play the game. He's going to continue to gain confidence. Remember, this was our first game. This wasn't a game that it's not week 4, 5, 6, 7. This is week 1, and you got to see it. I want the biggest key to this is Kyle being able to trust the pieces he has. And the biggest piece, of course, is Jimmy Garoppolo. Kyle Shanahan has to be able to trust Jimmy Garoppolo in order to get this offensive machine going. He has to. I told one of my close friends, we were watching the game, and I said, listen, I understand that Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to call a gimmicky play call like Sean McVay might do for a golf. But if I'm not saying that Jimmy G can't grasp what Kyle Shanahan's doing, but what I am saying is if it means between wins and losses, if Kyle can go in and teach Jimmy or take over and do some gimmicky stuff to get us wins, we're putting up all types of crazy scores, and it's because of Kyle, I don't care. I don't need to be proven to that Jimmy G can handle reading coverages on his own. If it comes between winning and losing, if Jimmy G's a little bit slow in his process or not getting it, I don't mind if Kyle Shanahan goes in there and begins to truly take over this offense. Sometimes I feel like maybe Kyle's pride gets in the way. That's my opinion, that maybe his pride gets in the way and he's like, I'm not with the Redskins anymore. I'm not over here with this quarterback anymore. I'm running my own show and I need my quarterback to be able to do this. The problem is if your quarterback, can he do that? And I believe in Jimmy G, but I don't mind winning gimmicky if it works. Remember, gimmicky wins. The Rams went all the way to the Super Bowl. They only scored 3 points, but I believe that Kyle Shanahan, if we were gimmicky and went to the Super Bowl, he would be able to score more than that like he has shown before when he was offensive coordinator with the Falcons. Anyways, I'm excited. I'm relieved. I was nervous about the game. I was nervous about everything going on, but we finally got this behind us. We are 1-0, and I look forward to the game against the Bengals that we're going to be playing. It's going to be amazing. The 49ers is something new about them. Like I said, get excited about our defensive line. Nick Bosa, man, he has to start stunting inside because he would go outside and you could see that he's a superior athlete. He's superior out there, but something would happen where he would be slipping. I don't know if it was his cleats or his momentum, and the offensive tackle would be able to just push him past, and he would miss a lot of things, or he would come in, he would over pursue. Remember, Buckner was like that. Buckner didn't get. Remember, just last year, his play finally converted into sacks on the field, because a lot of times he would get back there, and then the quarterback would do some kind of move, and Buckner would break down and lose him. I see that in Nick Bosa. Now, Nick Bosa is already flashing that. He's flashing it faster than Buckner did. But if he can learn from Buckner, talk to him, Buckner, take him under your wing, teach that rookie how to, set himself, like be calm, because this quarterback, Jameis Winston, is not a mobile quarterback, but he looked mobile because he was able to take Nick Bosa's momentum and let it fly past him. I love the get off of D Ford. There's a couple of plays where D Ford he was just gone. And it might be because Bosa was constantly fast, but D Ford, there was some couple of plays where we needed big plays. And it was especially the one where Jameis Winston threw that interception to Witherspoon for the pick six. D Ford got off the line so fast. It was amazing. And you're like, oh my God, like this is what I'm talking about. So we have the pieces in place. There's a lot of things. Now, the pessimists are going to look and say, well, what if this wasn't the Bucs? We would have lost. You know what? Again, the Bucs have had plenty of time to study and to look at the tendencies of Kyle Shanahan. Regardless of what you say, these are NFL players, no matter where we're ranked. When you have enough time to study your opponent, you can do very good. That's why in the first week of games, you see lopsided wins. Yeah, there's some teams like Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs that just come out and do what they're supposed to do. But at the same time, a lot of gimmicky play calls, a lot of things. You just see it's not always what it's going to be. I remember countless. How many seasons have the Lions went 6-0? And you're like, what in the world? This seems awesome. Right when they get to that mark at 6-0, they start losing every single game. It's just how the NFL is. So don't give up. Don't get too upset with the 49ers for not being perfect. We're going to continue to move, continue to get better, continue to grow. I'm Jerry Fresh. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Thank you so much for all you've done. Like I said on my last podcast, I just reached 1,000 subscribers, and it's all because of you. Thank you for your support. Please continue to love, like, listen, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Please share this with others. Go 49ers. I'll be talking to you guys soon. Stay safe and be excited, because the 49ers are going to continue to move forward under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch.